Hi, welcome to the Kessler Institute of Emersonian Language. My name is Professor Kessler, and today we shall be studying Emerson's work of nature. Now, before we begin today, I'd like to talk about how Emerson structures all of his paragraphs. See, Emerson has a great quality of explaining his overview in an excellent topic sentence of each paragraph, and this is also true for the entire evidence of nature. In this opening quote, he explains the purpose of the entire essay, of how nature is in itself a discipline, and how we can and how it applies to all of our natural selves and our spiritual selves. This whole idea of using a topic sentence will be consistent with all the following paragraphs. And since from henceforth we shall be using an opening quote to explain the topic sentence of each paragraph. Welcome. Let's start off with chapter 5, which is discipline. In view of the significance of nature, we arrive at once at a new fact, that nature is a discipline. This use of the word includes the preceding uses as parts of itself. In this introduction, Emerson goes on to describe how matter teaches its properties to us. Properties such as solidity, resistance, inertia, extension, basic understandings in which the universe runs. But to properly interpret these things, we must use our reason, which is a device in which we interpret these lessons and marry them into our spiritual mind and selves. Nature is a discipline of the understanding in intellectual truths. And in interacting with nature and all matter that's separate from spiritual is what I mean by nature, which we learn about difference, likeness, order, being, and seeming. We discern not only differences between and among objects, but the similarities in both form and spirit. The order of the world, from sunrise to sunset, and all in between, can be known to us if we observe the natural world as it moves. Such abilities do not come swiftly, however. It requires continuous training and failure in observation in order to truly understand it. Common sense, or the ability to understand important truths, comes from interacting with people, as one's own ideas conflicting with others. In a sense, you must interact with other people and learn about how other people think and react in order to truly understand. A true conscience, which Emerson describes as a hand of the mind, will preach the idea that thoughts are no better than fantasies unless they are practiced. In other words, acting is the only way to act morally just. The same good office is performed by property and its affiliate systems of debt and credit. Lessons can be learned from debt, which can be crippling and disheartening. Debt is a teacher whose lessons cannot be overlooked, and debt is needed by those who are in debt. In the sense that debt teaches you how to handle yourself, how to handle property as well, and those who are continuously in debt will suffer for it. But property, like snowdrifts and clock hands, according to Emerson, is something that cannot be relied on because it constantly changes over and over. It is not steady, and you certainly will not take it with you when you die. The whole character and the fortune of the individual are affected by the least inequalities in the culture of the understanding. For example, the perception of differences. Now, if you come follow me right over here, I'll do a visual demonstration of what actually means. Matter might be in unity, but each one is separate and different. For example, a sheep, from which you gain wool from, has its own uses for making clothing, as a shirt. Water can be drunk, and coal can be burned. However, you cannot eat coal. You cannot burn water. And you certainly cannot eat both sheep and wool. Emerson means to describe here how exactly people cannot use things for different purposes. Only a fool would say that you can eat a shirt, or burn water, or try to eat coal, but the wise men know the differences between the two. The first steps in agriculture, astronomy, zoology, those first steps which the farmer, the hunter, and the sailor take, teach that nature's dice are always loaded, that inner heaps and rubbish are concealed sure and useful results. Now the sailor, the hunter, and the farmer are all people of nature. They work in and with nature, but nature is unpredictable. The farmer cannot control the seasons, the sailor cannot control the waves in which he sails, and the hunter cannot control the prey in which he hunts. They must learn to work with nature. Nature's dice are always loaded, meaning that nature always wins at the end. Her results are going to be her results. They cannot change that. They can only work with it, though. So they must be willing, the farmer must know when to plant, and the hunter must know when to hunt, and the sailor must know when to sail. And in doing this, they shall achieve the greatest benefit of their results. The greatest harvest, or the greatest catch, or the greatest sailing trip. Receive the dominion of man as meekly as the ass on which the Savior rode. Now this is reference to Matthew 21, verses 7 through 11, in which Jesus rode into Jerusalem with a donkey. Nature is at the service of man. Nature is here to provide us with a path in which we will bend our own will. In fact, nature provides us with tools, much like Legos, raw tools that we can use to build whatever we please. And in doing this, not only do we make our lives better for ourselves and actually and understand the relationship between nature and our spiritual selves, our creations, in which God has intended, will reflect on who we really are. What I mean by that is that everything man builds, from the house to canals to his own artwork, reflects who he really is. Much in the only way that this little brick here reflects who I actually am. Sensible objects conform to the premonitions of reason and reflect the conscience. Emerson has explained to us and actually uses prophets such as David, Isaiah, and Jesus as examples of those who use reason and understanding to convey nature unto people. Every change that occurs shall hint or thunder to man the laws of right or wrong. Emerson is saying that everything in nature is crucial to its understanding. This leads to unity. Moral law lies at the center of the universe and permeates throughout. From nature's essence all the way around the universe, everything we encounter or something to teach us each is a piece of nature is sacred because it is created through God and also the way we see God and thus communicate. Every occupation within nature has the same goal, whether it be a miner, a sailor, or a shepherd. It has already been illustrated that every natural process is a version of a moral sentence. Nature teaches us morals that we use in religion. The prophets use nature to express their religious sentiments, mainly the idea that all objects serve a purpose, but are reused when can no longer fulfill the original purpose, in the sense that they're recycled over and over. He then goes on to use figurative language to describe Proteus, in the sense of nature. Proteus was the god of the sea, but he was also a shapeshifter, could take any form. But no matter what form he took, he was always Proteus. This is how no matter what form nature takes, it is always the spirit is the same, the essence is the same. Alright. Emerson then goes on to use expert testimony from the Greek philosopher Xenophon, who lived during the 400 BC, and the main purpose of Emerson including him within this passage is that he adds more ethos or credibility to his argument. Xenophon says in the passage that he's weary of seeing the same empty and tedious variety of forms. Everything was the same after a while, despite what objects look like or feel like. They're all made of the same substance. The unity in nature, by definition, unites all things into one singular entity, despite differences in appearance. Herein is especially apprehended the unity of nature, the unity in variety, which meets us everywhere. All the endless variety of things make us an identical impression. Words do not fully express the meaning of the mind, but actions are a perfect expression of the mind. When someone makes a morally right choice, then he will understand the true likeness of goodness. In his second to last paragraph, Emerson says, human form is the perfect form, and every other form around us is a degradation of human. The mind lives within the human body, and the mind is the richest form of power and order, in his words, but it is ruined by superficial errors. Finally, he says that friends allow us to know the best of ourselves and to understand their character. Once this is achieved, however, the meaning of this friendship will fade, and former friends shall separate for just a short time.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Professor Kessler is not in today, so I'll be filling in. Emerson makes numerous references to various experts of his time in the second part of Nature. The first reference he makes is to two architects of the time. One is named Anne-Louise Germain de Stael, who is a Swiss author who lived in Paris. She is one of the founders of Romanticism in France, and she bridged the history of ideas from neoclassicism to Romanticism. She was one of the most influential Romanticists, and both her and Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who is a German literary figure and one of the most prolific Romanticist figures in Germany, both agreed that architecture should be viewed as frozen music. Vitruvius was also referenced by Emerson. He is a Roman architect, or was a Roman architect and engineer from a very long time before Emerson's time. He wrote De Architectura, which was based on his own experience and his work with other architects. His view was that architects should be viewed as musicians because of their way to convey beauty through buildings and works of man to other people. Joseph Haydn was an Austrian composer during the classical period, and he wrote his oratorios, which were notes about various observations of his. He mentioned that motions of animals should be considered music, but not just motions of animals, also the waving of grass in the winds, because they both show God's will through nature to humans.
All right, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Christopher Swagman.
Hello, I'm a member of the Kessler Institute of Emersonian Language. See, these people that were referenced in this section were all accomplished in more than one field. Many were prolific in literature, but also talented in science or music. Both the personalities and findings of these figures contribute to an idea of diverse unity. All these references to beauty in various forms gives evidence to the idea that there is likeness within each of their cores. An underlying unity can be discovered throughout nature, though appearing to take different appearances. Every universal truth gives implications to every other truth because of this.
That concludes Emerson's Nature. Please join us next time as we read Henry David Thoreau's Walden or Christmas Break, and it was all joy that we will have.